That's
yes.
all right.
Is that each?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Thanks very much, Heidi. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Lovely to be here with you today on this gorgeous sunny day. I'm here with Amy as well, who's a student on placement with the National Women's Council. So we were saying that as we were coming out, it was lovely to see the bit of heat of the sun shining. Happy International Women's Day to you all as well.
Thank you.
As you know, tomorrow we're going to be all asked to vote on 2 referendums on the 8th of March on International Women's Day. Also, just to say to those of you who are not familiar with the National Women's Council, we are the national representative organisation for women and women's groups across the whole island of Ireland. We have over 180 member groups from different background sectors and locations, representing a diversity of women across the 32 counties. The National Women's Council are very proud to be calling for 2 yes votes, alongside a civil society organisation platform, which if you move on you'll just see some of the organisations that we're working with on this yes platform, including Troar and One Family, who represents one parent families, and Family Carers Ireland, and there's a number of other organisations who have joined the platform in calling for a yes. Now I have a video as well, but I'm just conscious about 4 minutes, so we may not have enough time. So I could just maybe share the link with you afterwards.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Basically, with the video, it's on our website. With the work of the National Women's Council, it's very important to us that when we're campaigning for changes around women's equality and women's rights, that it's informed by the lived experience and different perspectives of women. So we put together this video. It features 3 different women, their own personal experience and why it's important to them, why they're voting yes, and why they're also looking for support from others to vote yes as well. But I don't want to overtake my time, you know. Maybe I play a little bit of the video, maybe you could play. Yeah. Because I think it's useful in terms of hearing from different women as well. So it should be the next slide, hopefully. And
someone that's the most independent women you'll ever meet, the most driven women that you'll ever meet. The state need to recognise what carers bring to the state, to the economy. So I'm Georgia. I am 25.
I can't hear that.
This is Sky.
Plugged into what though?
I think when I think about it, it would be massive in the sense that first of all we're recognising care. But I'm hoping that what happens by recognising family care, that has a domino effect, I suppose, on some of the policies that are in place now that tend to kind of limit me as a woman who still is very career driven, wants to pursue education, but I also still want to be seen as taxpayer as my mother which is why I have to give them and what they need financially is significantly more. For toys are more.
if it's not working for people, that's what I mean. I can share it.
That's good.
No, we can see it.
I mean, you can see it happening.
It's perfectly okay.
It's hard to wish anybody would understand it, because to understand it you have to live in it. So it's very much, it's a different experience to other parents, completely.
Abdullah, and I'm from Dublin, and I really want this referendum to pass, the yes, and I really do want that article out of the Constitution. It's been insulting, and it's been demeaning, and it has put women in a very inferior position. And I remember when I was at work, I was delighted to be at work and I was delighted to be out, but the married men were paid more than the single men. And the whole idea of paying more was, of course, that the man was the head of the house. And I slowly began to realise that this is what the Constitution of 1937 actually meant. I mind the way it categorised women within the home. I mean, lots of women loved being at home, and I'm not in any way casting aspersions on that at all. It's terrific, but you have to have a choice about it. It defined the role of women, and it defined it in a very narrow, a very insular, unimaginative way. It didn't see anything but the possibility of the great talent that women had, and they were very strong women. Women always wanted their children educated. They always wanted more for them. They were very, very strong women, and all that was lost, you know, to the state. I'm tired of this article. I'm sick of it. It's been nothing but a a constraint and an insult. And I don't want the children, I don't want to leave that legacy for my grandchildren or children that are coming behind me. It has to go.
I found it really tough when my son came home from school and he said, "Mum, do you know what I learned today?" And he told me that he learned that in the Irish Constitution, himself, his sister and me.
You can move on to the next slide.
Yeah.
So the full video is available on the National Women's Council's website, nwci.ie. So, like I was saying, the National Women's Council are supporting and campaigning for 2 yes votes for family, for care, for women and equality. These referendums are long overdue, and it has been a very long road to get here, 87 years. So just to provide a bit of background to people in terms of a referendum. What is a referendum? A referendum is when Irish citizens are asked to vote about changes to the Constitution, and our Constitution can only be changed by Irish citizens. In that vote, who is eligible to vote? Every Irish citizen who is over 18 years and over and included in the register of electors. So hopefully everybody here is registered to vote. You can check it out online. If you haven't registered to vote, I'd encourage you to do that, because this year is going to be a very busy year with elections. We're going to have local and European elections on June the 7th. So if you're not in a position to use your vote tomorrow, encourage you to do that in advance of June. We could very likely as well have a general election before the end of the year. So it is going to be a busy year for people taking part.
Sorry to buck you. You know the way the Constitution has a part of religion, and there is something that should be taken out of the Constitution, that when you know the way God is a loving God, you should take the lakes of fire and the hell out of that people, God can do a different thing for people who reject him.
If we can just hold the questions just till they're finished their 10 minutes, because they only have a certain amount of time. I'll allow that.
Can I tell you after?
You can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'd like to see this first though, before we run
So,
out of
and
time.
the website is there as well, the electoralcommission.ie, and I mentioned 1 or 2 of the booklets. So our Constitution, the document in force since 29th of December 1937. It's a statement of our values as a country. It sets important societal expectations that reflect on all of us. And just as our country reflects our Constitution must reflect all its people. It can only be changed by the agreement of the people. Tomorrow, the people of Ireland will have the opportunity to right a historic wrong. We can have a Constitution that recognises the care that women have traditionally provided on our own at home, and recognises the family care of women and men today and into the future. We can have a Constitution that finally gives equality to all unmarried families and Ireland's children that were born outside of marriage. You can move on. So what are the referendums? We're going to have 2 separate votes, 1 referendum on family and 1 referendum on care, and the National Women's Council is supporting a yes vote in both referendums. You can move on to the next slide. So this is, I won't spend too much time because you've already outlined what's currently in the Constitution, what will happen if a yes vote is passed, and you can go on to the next slide if you like. Thank you. So the referendum on family will amend the Constitution to expand the definition of family. It will importantly include unmarried families. These families and the children who are part of them need your yes vote. They have been left in legal limbo and have felt and experienced stigma and isolation for decades. Our Constitution must cherish all children equally, regardless of whether the family they are based of is the family that they are part of is based on marriage or not. Oh, yeah, thank you. So the second amendment is the care referendum. This will remove Article 41.2 and replace it with a new article which recognises the value of care within families. And again, we've already read out the existing article and the proposed new Article 42b, which will be added to the Constitution if the referendum is passed. This referendum on care will finally remove Article 41.2, which uses outdated and sexist language to limit women to life within the home. It represents Ireland's dark past, where women were treated as second-class citizens. This never reflected the reality of women's lives and their contribution to so many areas of society and community in Ireland, including but not only care within the home. This part of our constitution copper-fastened social values underlying policies like the marriage bar. It never resulted in the state valuing the unpaid care work done by women in their homes and communities, and it saw no role for men in contributing to care. Instead, resulted in the state ignoring the work done by women, taking us for granted and making us invisible. A yes vote will send a clear message to government that the Irish people want to see change. Change to recognise that we are a caring society and we must support that care. Acknowledging all of the unpaid caring work that is done by women, while also recognising the important role that men can play in family care and care more broadly. We believe the referendum is a key point in time to effect change. However, the months and even years ahead will be as critically important. The National Women's Council, alongside many organisations, will be calling through this campaign and beyond on all political parties, on current and future governments, to commit to real change, including but not limited to a public childcare model and better paid family leave, a universal pension for all, guaranteed access to home care supports and personal assistance for disabled people. We're really looking forward to the outcome of the vote tomorrow. We're excited to have had this national conversation about such an important issue of care. We see the two referendums very much interlinked, and we really think voting yes, yes sends a strong message that Ireland is a country with care and caring at its heart, that Irish people value care, and that we want to support women, men and families to do so. We know that families cannot do it alone. The care and support needs cannot be met by families in isolation. So we do need to see policies and legislation and practical supports, and for the government and future governments to take real action to improve the lives of those who provide care. So I think my time is up, but I will just, if I can say, I did bring a copy of the ballot papers as well. So one is green and one is white. So if people want to have a look at those.
Just might be worth, just so you don't get confused if you're doing a different,
and there is just a slide, because it's kind of more like it's information in terms of the voting, you know, just for people tomorrow.
Last slide.
On to the last one?
Yeah.
The next one. Sorry. Oh no, it's not there. No. Okay, well, if I could just say, just in terms of tomorrow, the polling stations are open from 7 to 10. So just make a plan to vote. And if there's someone who needs some support with getting to a polling station, maybe you could do that as well. So just encourage people really to get out and use their vote tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And that's why we're holding this, is that we noticed that there were people who said, I'm not going to vote. And that is a crime, really, because we fought very hard to get votes. It doesn't matter what way you vote, so long as you vote. It's very important to speak about it. So I'd like to welcome Sandra Adams back again.
Oh, yeah.
You know the routine. We'll ask you not to, I don't have to swear on the ground, but if you don't move too much away from, say, beside the screen there, you're perfect there.
You are.
Now, am I on the spot?
Yes, we can see you.
Perfect. Great. So, hello. I'm Sandra Adams. I'm a blow into Baldoyle. I only came here when I was 3, so it's like 50 years. I volunteer with an organisation called the Countess. We're an advocacy group and we campaign for the rights of women and girls and to maintain adequate safeguarding for vulnerable people. And we're calling for a no vote tomorrow on both of the proposed amendments. And as Catherine pointed out, you're going to get your green vote polling card for care, and there'll be a white one for family. So I think I'll address the care amendment first. So you're going to be asked to remove what has been called sexist language from the Constitution. I don't believe the word mother is sexist, and I don't believe the word woman is sexist. There are 114 references to men, him, father, and he in the Constitution, and nobody thinks that's sexist. Nobody is asking for those words to be removed. They're only asking for these words: mother, woman, home, and duties. Now, the article does say that a woman should not be forced by economic necessity to engage in labour to the neglect of her duties in the home. Those duties are not washing your husband's underpants or loading the dishwasher. Those duties are responsibilities that we have to each other, and usually responsibilities that we have to children.
and they are worthy of respect. Responsibilities are things you take on. When you have children, you understand that you put them first. And this article allows women some protection not to be forced outside the home if they wish, and that is really important. If you want to go out and work, you are not prevented from going out to work in this country. Article 45 states that we are all equally entitled to go out and earn a living. And Article 40 states that we are all equal under the law, regardless of our marital status. And that applies to children as well. Children who come from single parent families are not discriminated against, as has been said. We believe that this article has protected women. We know it's protected women in terms of maintenance, to ensure that they were not forced to get a job and neglect their responsibilities to their children where a husband did not want to pay a certain level of maintenance. This was used in court to protect that. This article is being used at the moment. There is a Supreme Court case where a mother of a profoundly disabled boy, he has Down syndrome, hypothyroidism, he doesn't sleep, she's on 24-hour care for her child. She lost her carer's allowance because her husband's income went up to €45,000 and her €85 was taken away. In December, the Supreme Court gave her leave to have that case heard, to get that allowance back, so that she is not forced by economic necessity to neglect the responsibility she has taken on to her child. Now, within a month of that case being agreed to be heard in the Supreme Court, this referendum was called. If we get a yes tomorrow, that case will fall and we will not have an outcome, because there won't be any article on which to base her case. And that is very important for all carers. Now, with respect to, I think it was Georgia who was on the video, Georgia is advocating for a yes, because she believes that it will help her as a carer. We know that this is not true because the language is not enforceable. Okay, good luck with getting the government to strive harder. Okay, when has this government, or indeed any government, it's not just this one, ever willingly met its obligations to vulnerable people in this country without being dragged by the ears to the steps of a court? I'm just going to quote something. There is a law lecturer called Professor, I think it's John O'Mahony, and he said, without the words reasonable measures, this word strive will offer no remedy to people who are seeking additional care resources or who have disabilities and are seeking additional resources, because other than engaging in political campaigning, it won't make a difference if the government chooses not to strive sufficiently hard. Okay, so we need really strong wording. You will also notice that within this care provision, who's missing? People with disabilities. They're not even mentioned. Now, there was a citizens' assembly that brought together many groups, and they advocated and they said, we want the word support in the community or something similar inserted into this amendment. It is not there. People with disabilities are not going to be supported or enabled by this. Senator Tom Clonan is a very powerful advocate for people with disabilities. He has rejected it. The Magdalenes for Justice have rejected it. The Free Legal Aid Centres have rejected it. The Irish Council for Civil Liberties have rejected it. Politicians this week are starting to reject it because they realise it is not sufficient and it is not going to give people what they think it will give them. So for those reasons, we're asking you to reject it. The article never prevented any woman from getting a job. Article 45 of our Constitution says we are equally as men and women entitled to earn our living. So it is inaccurate to say that. And if you think about it coherently, many of the women who are really strongly advocating for this yes have all been educated to PhD level, have all got very, very successful careers in law, are running NGOs. How is it coherent that this article prevented them from getting a job or succeeding? It is not the case. I'm going to move on now to the second proposed amendment tomorrow, and that's on the family and the insertion of the words durable relationship. Now, we are calling for a no on this as well. This is not a moral judgment, it's not a religious judgment, okay? Our organisation is not aligned with any religion, we are not aligned with any political group, okay? It is not a value judgment. We object to this language being inserted because we don't know what it means. We don't know what it means. The minister pushing this amendment has said it will be decided in the courts, and we will not be giving you a definition beforehand. Now, any of you know, if you enter into any kind of contract with somebody, if you agree to do something, you should know what you're agreeing to before you actually do it. Durable relationship is not defined, and we're being told two opposing things. On the one hand, the Minister O'Gorman has said it will not be based on the meaning of durable as expressed in European law, and the other day Leo Varadkar said that it would be based on the definition of durable as expressed in European law. So they don't know, they can't agree with one another. So why should we agree to do it until we have a firm definition? It is really regrettable that lone parents are being told that this will recognise them, because it won't. It's durable relationships between basically adults. The relationship a parent has with a child is a unique bond. It is distinct. It is not like a relationship between consenting or intimate adults. And if we want to truly recognise lone parent families, then we should explicitly state that a family can be a bond between a parent and a child. But they haven't chosen to do that. They've chosen something that is very, very wrong. So for that reason, we would ask you to reject the durable relationship amendment and the family amendment. So just to summarise, we're asking you to vote no, because the care amendment is not sexist. It's never stopped women getting out and doing what they wanted to do. That was society. The Constitution wasn't responsible for the marriage bar. That was society. The Constitution wasn't responsible for all the awful things that happened to women. That was society. Laws are made on the basis of this document. And if we change this document with inconsiderate care, we're doing something profoundly damaging to us as women. And on International Women's Day, I would ask you, don't be kind, be smart, and stand up for yourselves and say no. Thank you.
Very good, isn't it? Very good arguments, very good reasons, and thank you so much, both.